So my name is Gracie White, and this is my diversity and inclusion final assignment. So my scenario is as follows. As a first-year university student from a rural community, I attended my first ever in-person, on-campus biology lab. The tables were arranged in seats of 4 per unit. I did not know anybody upon arriving, but we were told by teaching instructors to pick a seat at one of these stations, as this will be the lab group we will be paired with for the remainder of the semester. Being paired with this lab group, we would be responsible for doing working/completing lab activities together. My initial thought process was as follows: to get myself to the right table, ensuring the group I got sat with were of strong intellectual standing so I could get a good mark in the class, but speaking more truthfully so I'd not be burdened with the responsibility of taking on the bulk of the workload. The fault of my thought pattern, however, fell in my unconscious methods in determining who constituted the most promising academically inclined group member. I recall eagerly scanning the room, subconsciously analyzing the tables. Automatically, I neglected the table which sat 2 chattering blondes, ironic enough due to the color of my own hair. Then there sat the table with a boy who wore a backwards bright red ball cap and a sterling silver grill. Again, rejection. I continued my search, finally striking what seemed the jackpot table. A table that sat 2 white men, both of which wore glasses, and an Asian woman. At this point, you're probably wondering with what mark I walked away from that lab with. 97, 98, 100? A 67%. 67 was our table's cumulative mark. But what I did walk away with was a better understanding of the many implicit, stereotypical, flawed biases I withheld. And what I walked away from diversity and inclusion with is now how to debunk these biases. Oftentimes, when we think about the meaning behind the word stereotypes or prejudice, we automatically connotate it with only negative attributes. This, however, similar to my experience, is not always the case. Stereotypes occur when we ground any simplified assumption about a given group of people based on preconceived notions or judgments we may withhold. That moment in the lab, I had unveiled 2 implicit unconscious biases of mine. That I, 1, associate white men with being of strong academic standing, and 2, associate Asian women of being of strong academic standing. The kicker in both of these instances was, of course, I embody neither of these positions, as I identify as a white Canadian woman. Looking back to that time in my life, it was so interesting to ponder just how quick and automatic these correlations arose in my mind. Without even speaking so much as a word to anybody in that classroom, my brain had already formulated and told me a story about what each one was and wasn't. I have now uncovered that these biases and assumptions were a product of my minimal exposure and socialization processes. It is crucial for us as humans to not limit our interpretations of a given group of individuals to our experiences with just one member of that group. In my instance, the high school I attended was quite minimal in diversity. There was one Asian family who had immigrated into the area, opening a family-run restaurant. Their eldest daughter happened to be my age, so going through school, we were often in many of the same classes. The girl, Kelly, had always received astonishing marks in school. On almost every test we took, Kelly would score in the top percentile. Likewise, her siblings, who were my sister's age, achieved similar marks in school. Instead of me making the rational conclusion that both Kelly and her sister were highly academically motivated, studied, and devoted a lot of their time to studies, I attributed their academic success to their race. A completely ungrounded and baseless assumption, which I unfortunately carried with me into university. Back in January, we were asked to take a couple of IAT tests. I chose to do one which unveiled I have a strong positive correlation to men in science and math, and conversely, women in arts and English. Initially, I was quite stunned by this response. Then, after pondering my result, I began to see that perhaps this was true. We're often unaware of the many assumptions we make on people just within first glance. Features such as one's apparel, language, gender, race, and facial expression lead us to withhold countless assumptions. Walking away from this course, I believe I have gained a solid understanding of what it means to keep an open mind, not only when approaching new situations, but new people as well. Just as a final note, I would like to add, it's much easier for us as humans to continue on seeing the world solely as we've interpreted it to be. It takes conscious effort on our behalf to correct our faulty judgments, opinions, and ultimately broaden our insights. The unfortunate reality is, many elements of society have been cultivated in such a way to only advantage majority groups. This is why it's crucial, especially for those who hold privilege, to seek out fundamental understanding, continue thinking critically, and work with marginalized groups to better educate ourselves in our many unhidden biases. I would also like to add that reflecting on my own stereotypes and biases, I don't think it dispels having these biases, even though they were based on positive assumptions. So in my case, seeing a person of an Asian background and automatically assuming they're good at math or good at science doesn't make the stereotype any better than if I were to look at a Black person and think they're not good at math or science. So either way, stereotypes or prejudice are grounded in discriminatory thought and baseless, unfactual thought, and it's something that we should all work towards creating a blank slate for and continuing through life, willing to learn more and again, just enter each situation with an open mind and no predisposed thoughts or notions.